Well, Bill has one announcement coming up, and we've talked about this before, but it's a truly interesting story about author John Herrmann's book finally getting published. Tell us a little bit about what's happening.
89 years ago, John Herrmann from Lansing, Michigan, he seemed to be a pretty typical young guy from here. He left and joined the Lost Generation, literally, in Paris, France, with Hemingway, Sylvia Beach, Stein, John Dos Passos, William Carlos Williams. You can go on and on.
Alice B. Toklas and
Alice B. Toklas. He knew all of them. He was friends with them. And in 1926, his book "What Happens" was to come into the United States. It was published in Paris, and it was seized at the border and deemed obscene. And it went to trial, and he lost. So that first book of his was never in print in the United States. And an academic out of Troy University, which is in Montgomery, Alabama, has become a John Herrmann scholar and decided to go take a run at it and see, because it's out of copyright. And the book has been published, and it'll be released next week in Lansing, his hometown.
Cool.
And it'll be at the State Library Forum Room Thursday, June 11th at 6 p.m. And it's about 6 p.m. you can meet the Sarah Kosiba, who's his biographer, and at 7 p.m. there's going to be about a 40-minute program discussing everything from the Lost Generation to the accusations that he was a communist spy.
So it's this Thursday?
This Thursday, just a couple days from now, 3 days. And what's interesting about him is he ended his life in Mexico City as part of the Beat Generation.
Really? So he spanned both?
Yep.
Wow.
Very interesting guy. Somebody asked me what his personality. Well, he made friends easily. That's one thing for sure. Big, tall guy, he was 6'3½". Hemingway wore his clothes. Hemingway was shorter. He was only 6, so he had to alter the pants. But the clothes that John Herrmann gave him were made in Lansing, Michigan. Because his father and father before that were tailors.
Wow.
So twice a year, John would get a new suit, and when he'd just turn it over and give it to Hemingway.
So did he make his living as an author, or?
No, not really.
No, he wasn't able to.
No, money was always a problem for him.
Mm-hmm.
All through his life. He made in between writing gigs. He was a salesman.
Oh.
Much of his writing involved salesmen. So he was writing sort of vernacular style writing of that era, environmental writing. Very interesting guy. His writing is, in some points, as good as Hemingway's. But the difference between getting your first book published and not getting it published is a big deal.
Huge.
Yeah, and he just never caught on. I really believe he wrote Catcher in the Rye 40 years before Salinger did. Except his character wasn't as crazy. You know, Holden Caulfield was a little bit strange.
Gore Vidal always argued that one of the things that had gone wrong with American literature was that the people doing it didn't have quote-unquote real jobs anymore. They weren't like Sinclair Lewis where they sold paint or, had those kinds of careers. And so that's why you read all of these books where somebody is an English professor, because the only people who are writing published novels nowadays are people who are, working in an English department.
He would have liked John Herrmann because he based a lot of what he wrote about on his sales trips.
Ah.
He wrote a very famous short story called The Short Last Trip. And it won the 1932 Long Short Story Award from Scribner's, which he shared with Thomas Wolfe.
Ooh, that's pretty exalting.
He was at that level, and then I think he just grew tired of writing. He just quit in about 39.
So he just got somewhat burned out for one. Maybe part of it was the hassle of, a lot of people have had their careers ruined by that kind of government intervention. You think of Lenny Bruce, who became so fixated on his court case that he wasn't funny anymore, and so he lost his niche and his particular talent. It seems too bad that government interference sometimes.
Well, he also got caught up in the 1940 HUAC
House Un-American Activities
trials.
Oh.
So that didn't help him.
No.
You get named in those, you're pretty much targeted.
Did he name names?
No, he never had to appear.
Oh, he never had to appear.
He left and went to Mexico, and that's where he met up with the Beat Generation.
Wow.
Mexico City.
I mean, that seems very odd to me that somebody who would have been in sync with the Lost Generation in Paris would have also had been tuned to.
He married a woman named Josephine Herbst, who was also a relatively famous novelist at the time, and both of them were I'd say socialist writers.
Ah,
They cared about farmers' issues greatly, and you're talking about the Depression, so they saw him firsthand, and he got caught up in that. He was dedicated to helping the plight of the farmers, and that's how he got involved in the Communist Party.
yeah, the
And-
farmers led the country into the Depression. They were in Depression a year or two before.
But I think it's it's an interesting story. It's unlike any one that anyone's ever going to hear about.
Wow.
And like I said, I think his second and third book are very good. I think his first book, which very few people have read, obviously, you could never buy it before, is very good too.
So the woman who will be giving the talk,
Is Sarah Kosiva. She is a English professor who teaches in Alabama, but she became interested in Midwest writers and discovered his name and went, wow, a banned book, I never heard of that. And that's how she caught her attention.
well, it's going to be fascinating.
And the attorney that represented him was, I think it's Maxwell Ernst, who went on to found the ACLU.
Oh, let's see, I'm trying, Maxwell Ernst.
Ernst.
Oh, okay.
There's two people with that same name.
I wondered.
Yes, I can't think what the other guy did, but Ernst he's a very successful attorney, and he represented Ulysses.
Oh,
He
wow.
represented To Have and Have Not, Hemingway's book. He didn't win Herman's case, but he won Ulysses and Hemingway's cases.
That was the practice round. They
I
got
think
ready
so.
For the others. Wow.